Hello there. It's time for Most Things Kenobi. I prefer all things Kenobi, but I suppose that's not the Jedi way. As long as it's not all things Anakin.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Leanne.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
And this week we're going to get into two of many short stories from the collection called From a Certain Point of View. 40 stories celebrating 40 years of Star Wars. So this was released back when it was the 40th anniversary of, what was it?
I think it was for Empire Strikes Back, because
which is my favorite.
It's the Empire Strikes Back collection, because I think there's one that's just a certain point of view, and then there's one that's Empire Strikes Back. But this one we're talking about today, or the two that we're talking about today, are from the Empire Strikes Back edition.
Yes.
And I just want to mention again that this story, or this audiobook, was gifted to us by one of our listeners, and we just want to say thank you again. You know who you are.
Absolutely, thank you.
Really touched our hearts, and we loved it.
Yes. So we're only going to talk about two that we listened to, which were requested. There was a list that was suggested that we listen to first. Mm-hmm. So we didn't do them in order, but we did do them by what was basically offered, suggested.
Yeah.
And the two we're talking about is Disturbance, which is read and narrated by the amazing Sam Witwer.
Oh my god, it was so good.
His change of tone for, throughout the entire story was really awesome. I mean, he's talented. So he's a fucking talented individual. Like,
I was kind of like in awe, honestly.
Me too.
It was so good.
Me too. And then the other short story we're going to talk about is There Is Always Another.
Yes.
Which is, it made me laugh out loud at one or 2 points, which I want to know if you can guess what points I'm referring to when we get there. But
they were probably the same ones that I laughed out loud.
Probably, because so the first one that we're going to talk about, Disturbance, is from the point of view of Sidious, or Palpatine as Sidious. It's kind of difficult. But then There Is Always Another is from the point of view of Force Ghost Obi-Wan. So
yes,
it's kind of cheeky in that it's got that Obi-Wan sense of humor, even though it's a serious topic and, a heartbreaking tale of sorts. So let's talk about the first one, Disturbance, which we both loved. It was excellent. It was damn good.
It was damn good. It was really good. And the performance was amazing, but the story is
story's great.
Really good. Yeah. Oh my God.
I love that it's Luke focused, as is, many of these, actually. The ones that I've listened to.
Which makes sense. Because Empire Strikes Back, yeah. But it gives you a different perspective on him than you've ever had, especially this story in particular.
Yes. And so what I really liked was it starts as Palpatine having a vision about who this rebel pilot was that blew up the Death Star. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was really cool is he's having a vision about himself as Sidious. So there's still the two separate entities, right? And it's mostly about, Luke is the hooded character.
Right.
But when I first heard it, he was holding a red lightsaber. And I said, there's something funky about this. It's got to be they're tied to Vader somehow because, obviously Luke doesn't carry a red lightsaber. So,
yeah.
And then you come to find out, most of this is also from the point of view of Vader.
Yeah, it's almost like the Emperor realizes he's not having a vision. He's tapping into Vader's vision. Which I love that idea.
I loved it. And it made me incredibly just depressed because for anyone who's heard the short story, like you said, Palpatine is tapping into Vader's dream or vision, or I say dream, like kind of wistful.
Yeah, he said it was, well, he kept saying, at first he called it a dream, and then he said it was a delusion.
Yeah, which is the saddest thing, because it was
Yeah.
Vader turns and sees himself, but it's not Vader, it's just Anakin, no machine.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
sees Padme back in their
Yeah.
old apartment, and Luke is there, and he calls them mom and dad, and it's like, that's what Vader wants, and that
I know.
fucking hurts.
I know. It was very heartbreaking.
Yes.
Because at first you're thinking, like, the Emperor is having that vision. He always talks about how he has foreseen
Yes.
that Luke will turn to the dark side.
Yes.
And
What
at
an
first
ass.
you think he doesn't understand.
That didn't age well.
But you're seeing that, like, well, at first you think that's what you're seeing, and then it slowly but carefully reveals that you're not actually seeing that. You're seeing Vader's dream of what he wishes he could have. That's even more depressing, because it's
Totally.
just like, it's just sad to think that even inside that villain, there's a desire for family and companionship, even though they are standing under their star fleet, that
Yes, I mean, there was that obvious, like, Vader still wanted to rule, and he wanted Luke to be
Yeah.
a part of that, and because
Yes.
let's not forget, this is Empire Strikes Back, so it's like 3-4 years after A New Hope, and Vader's basically on the hunt to find his son, and or what he thinks is his son,
yeah,
and he wants to overthrow Sidious. I mean, that's what it began as. And then
Yeah.
Vader changed to not just that, he wanted to protect his son and get him out of there, and,
yeah,
in the end-
exactly,
overthrew Sidious himself.
yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It's very satisfying. Yeah, I thought that, I thought it was interesting. Well, I guess until it turned, and then you realized you were seeing Anakin's vision. But
Yeah.
up to that point, where the Emperor has this vision of himself facing Luke, and he goes into his office, and there's
Yes.
the royal guards are dead.
Did you find it interesting that the heads were chopped off?
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, and kind of a tie-in to the beheading that takes place in the cave in Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, okay, was that on purpose? Because the beheading thing is kind of a theme, at least in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't, I mean, I guess you see Mace Windu do it, but you don't see it too often.
No.
I guess Anakin beheads
Oh, absolutely.
Dooku.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
100%.
he
100%.
it's no problem for Anakin.
No,
he
he's
never...
stabbing people is his job for many years. As a Jedi, might I remind everyone, but yeah, Luke grabbed and stopped the lightsaber in midair.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this, and then just basically force pushed it into Sidious and killed him in that way. So, like,
Yeah.
it's not actually his vision. That's Vader's vision. He wanted
Yeah.
his son to do that, and, like,
Which is crazy.
kind of crazy. Shows
also
his
kinda
hate for
awesome.
Sidious, basically.
Well, it's like he allows his son to vindicate him, basically. But also, the thing I was going to say, too, is, like, before we know it's Vader's vision, Palpatine is still thinking, like, that even though he sees a vision of his own death, that Luke is still a good possibility, like a good candidate.
Yes. He was still plotting at that point to have a new apprentice, which is like, God, Palps, take a fucking break. Like,
Yeah.
this is damn.
Well, and even when he realizes that he's dying and dies in the vision, and then he has this thought, there are lots of Sith apprentices and lots of people who think they can become an apprentice and overthrow me. It's not
Yes.
possible. But it's like, have you ever had a vision of yourself dying before?
Right.
Because, like, why would you see this crazy thing, have this experience that you've never experienced, and then think, I'm going to hire that guy?
Because there's been a disturbance.
Yeah.
So is the disturbance actually Luke and him trying to figure, or is the disturbance Vader's mental betrayal?
Yeah, I kind of wondered that. It wasn't like 100% clear to me. At the beginning, I felt like the disturbance was that he was feeling was Luke in the Force, because they also talk about it was the rebel pilot, the trigger finger, the finger on the trigger. And so that's where I started. But then by the end, it's like, is the disturbance Vader holding this vision so tightly and trying to protect it, and maybe even having feeling or emotion because of his son, even though I guess George Lucas said he doesn't love his son at this point. He doesn't have affection for him, but
no, he's just another tool in the get rid of Sidious plan. But
yeah,
man, Sam Witwer made it.
Oh my god. So I was just like wrapped. I had to sit there, I couldn't do anything else. I was just sitting there listening because it was so good.
It was it him doing Sidious's voice? Because it was, that's impressive.
It is. He does the voice in some of the Lego plushies. Like, I was just like, while I was listening, I was like, this is spooky how good he is at
He's
sounding
like one of those
Emperor.
people, like, what's the late night guy? I love him. Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon can literally do anyone's voice. And I don't understand
like a mimic.
people. Yeah. I don't understand how people can do that. Because your voice is your voice. How do you make it somebody else's? It's weird. But Sam Witwer did the same thing with all the characters. I was into it. And he sped up his voice when there was like action happening, and then he slowed it down. And when he talked about Padme being in Vader's vision, which is really sad, he kind of mockingly laughed, like, "Oh, I should have suspected she'd show up," you know?
Yeah, and then he uses the Emperor's accent just a little bit when he says
Just
Padme Amidala.
Yeah, because the subtlety was excellent. There is detail in a story when it's spoken by someone who has that much talent.
I was just thinking, while listening to it, this man is meant to be in the Star Wars universe. Like, the fact that he can, I don't even know what's the word, recreate the Emperor's voice so accurately, but also had that Maul feel sometimes when he was like very smooth and refined sounding.
Yes,
it was just like, this man is in the right place.
What would it be like to be good at something and then have that be your job? I don't know what that's like. So
dream come true, right? I have no idea.
Just once, I'd like to do something I'm good at and it's fun and get paid. You know what I mean? Shit.
Well, to think of like just a regular person reading the story, you know, you could do a good job and read it clearly, and your elocution could be very good, but he brings a whole level of like feeling the story. It's incredible.
It was really good. It far exceeded all expectations. At least,
yes.
Even just Sam Witwer expectations in Sam Witwer, like he
Seriously.
surpassed that as well. I mean, he's damn good.
I mean, we're like so used to him in Clone Wars and Rebels and being amazing, and then to hear him actively doing all these different voices, because he does Luke, he does Vader, he does the Emperor, he's the narrator, and then he does one Imperial.
Yeah, that
it
was good too.
It's all good, and like
it's,
even when he was Luke, he just said basically father and mother. Those were the words, but he sounded just like Mark.
It had an uptick, like that that upwards lightness that Mark Hamill has. Yeah, it was good. I really liked it.
It was really good. I was very pleased with that.
And the next story is titled "There Is Always Another," and this is from the point of view of Force Ghost Obi-Wan, which hasn't lost any of his sarcasm or humor or charm.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this story too. I didn't know if it was going to grab me, and it did, almost like right away within the first couple of moments. And this one is read by Jonathan Davis, right? That's the narrator on and he's so good.
Who did a fantastic job.
Yeah, he really understood the moments where there's humor and the moments where it's like very bittersweet.
So basically, this is from Obi-Wan's point of view as Yoda is trying to tell Luke not to leave, right? So it's the perfect mix of Obi-Wan reminiscing, wishing better, wishing he could help more, and also the bittersweet loss of Anakin and how he sees Anakin so clearly in the eyes of his son, Luke.
Yes, I loved that part because we don't really ever get that. Everyone always says there's too much of his father in him, but nobody would know that more than Obi-Wan.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hope that some of the things they said in this made me... I really hope they bring the same exact things up in the Kenobi show.
Yeah.
Because in this tale, Obi-Wan says he spent the past how many, most of his whatever life after the Jedi fell in a sand prison or a desert prison.
Yes.
Yeah, so only Obi-Wan, in all of his pain and suffering and thinking about Anakin after, Anakin fell to the dark side and everything went kaboom. He still remembers how fondly Anakin's eyes were, and then he goes on to describe like the other things about Anakin that we all know, basically from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That Obi-Wan adored.
Yeah, even the things that
sad.
annoyed him, he still reminisces about. And there are things in this that I have written in fan fiction, and I have planned for fan fiction, and I have seen in other people's fan fiction, like needing to teach Anakin to swim. I had no idea this was in this story, but it's definitely
I didn't know
a scene in a
that
fic
was
I
even a
have
thing.
planned. I know, it's like a thing. And like Anakin sleeping
Why does everyone think that Anakin
because he grew
can't
up on
swim?
a desert planet where there's no water.
Oh, that's right. Oh, God. I was thinking he has a long enough arm span. He'd be a great swimmer, but I forgot about the planet of sand he hates.
Yeah, he didn't grow up with any water around.
Yeah, right.
And then the idea of him waking up in the middle of the night and finding Anakin asleep on the floor next to his bed.
That too. I've seen that. Yep, I've seen that in like fan art.
Yeah, I love that idea. And everything he was saying, my God, Leanne, I was just going like, yes, yes. When he's talking about how he didn't even know what kind of man he was because he was instantly thrown from being a Jedi who was just swallowing everything the Jedi were telling him to believe. And suddenly he's in charge of another living person and he doesn't know what the hell to do with that.
We literally just talked about that in one of our most recent episodes. Like, that he was thrown into that without any sort of preparation. It just went from 0 to 60 in his life real fast after Qui-Gon died.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I loved how they said that Anakin didn't ask for any of this either.
Yes.
Which is so true. We forget that, like, yes, he agreed to go and his mom let him, but Qui-Gon just showed up one day in his life. He didn't ask for any of that, and things happened.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I just loved the way he was kind of bitter. Mm-hmm. And not in like a,
vengeful way.
Yes, exactly. It was more like he got thrown into this, and then he would say in the short story, he would say, what kind of choice was that you gave Anakin, Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
Like, Qui-Gon made this decision, then Qui-Gon dies, and everyone else has to live with the consequences of what he put in motion.
Perfectly stated.
And I love that Obi-Wan is kind of frustrated with Anakin, but also like his only advocate. And you don't see that as much in at least not in the movies. You see it a little bit more in the TV show, but even then, a lot of the times Obi-Wan is kind of like reprimanding Anakin more so than anything, because we don't ever really see those really early days of them together.
Them awkwardly trying to find their place in each other's story,
Yeah, and that little thing he said of trying to say to Anakin, yes, of course everyone's happy you're here, even though Mace Windu is always kind of scowling at him.
Yeah, and I could see his face, and I was like, this sour bastard. I mean, it didn't help at all. That's for sure. It didn't make this rapid boil of a child, we'll say, any more accepted, which is all he wanted anyway.
Yeah.
In the end. So yeah, I loved that because it was all real. It's real. It's real shit that Obi-Wan would go through and think.
Yeah.
You know, all the while being hurt by all the similarities in like Luke's facial features that take him back to a time and place.
Yeah. And I just love the crankiness he has at Yoda also for...
Oh, yeah. Like, this is your chance to step in and say something, but no, he's going to stand there with his cane and stare at the ship. Like, he didn't take his invitation to speak. Like,
Exactly.
That's what you do in real life, though. You set someone up for something and then you wait and they never step in to finish what, you know what I mean? It's just like...
It's so true. It's so true. And I love the moment where he's talking about how he kept trying to convince Yoda that Luke is not Anakin. Mm-hmm. And I just... Whoever wrote this story, which I can't remember off the top of my head now, Gary D. Schmidt is the author. Gary D. Schmidt.
Well written.
Really well done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part, and the part that made me laugh out loud, I went, oh my, you know, like, was the part where he said, why do the Skywalkers care so damn much? Things in this galaxy would be so different if the damn Skywalkers just didn't care so much. Was that not hilariously true?
Oh my God. I laughed at that. And I burst out laughing within the first couple lines when he said that, like, even now that I'm dead, I didn't think I'd be holding a Skywalker back from doing something stupid.
It's the truth. He said, as long as there's a Skywalker, there's an impulsive decision or something like that. And it's like, it's
so
true.
good.
And he even mentions Leia, that he got letters from Bail.
Yes.
Or, like, updates from Bail that she, you know, Leia was just as much of a Skywalker as...
Yeah.
And in Amidala, because he gives credit to Padme's, you know, stature, I would say, within the Senate and her position on things.
And the moment where he said, if only Padme had been the chosen one and Anakin could have been...
Yes, the senatorial prince.
Yes, exactly. I thought that was a really interesting... Because I'm sure you've seen, there's fan art, there's fan fiction of that, where they do role reversals.
Oh, yes.
To now have something that's canon where somebody's like, wouldn't it have just been better?
Wouldn't it just... Couldn't we have just avoided this? Had Padme Amidala been... Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she tried for what it was worth, but...
She did her damn best.
Yeah. And she is very evident in both of her children.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if the Skywalkers didn't care so damn much...
I know, that was great.
So the Obi-Wan is saying this, but if you think about it, it's because the Skywalkers cared so damn much. Each and every single time they did. Leia basically led 2 wars to success, and Luke... we already spent one episode telling you why he's amazing, but, like, if they didn't care so much, there'd be no Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
You know, because old Luke he cared enough to come, and if they didn't care so much, Leia wouldn't have led everyone in the sequels to victory. So there's a lot to be said on both sides of that statement, but I laugh so damn. It's the truth.
It's true, but...
Those goddamn Skywalkers!
The galaxy needs people to care, but with the Skywalkers, you kind of get ground up and chewed up and spit out the other end, you know?
Yes.
While they care so much.
It's caring, like, exponential to the 10th degree of some kind.
Exactly.
I love this story because it shows, like, that even Obi-Wan is a little unsure of what to say to Luke. Mm-hmm. I sense that there was some... Like, he wanted Yoda to say something so that he wouldn't say something wrong. You know? Because at any moment... So Luke's getting ready to leave to go save Han and Leia, and obviously it's a trap to, you know, get within Vader's proximity. But I love that Obi-Wan in that moment basically said, like, there's no stopping them once they get their mind set on something. And that's another Skywalker trait.
Well, and he's no different.
No, it's true.
Remember
This
a little
is true.
thing called the Lawless, where he just like basically didn't listen to a word the Jedi
Nope.
Grand Master told him and was like, I'm
No.
gonna go and try and stop this Mandalorian civil war all by myself. Do as I say, not as I do. That's the Kenobi Skywalker motto.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
I like that. That's great.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I would highly, highly recommend both these stories, but I'm really excited to dive into more. But if anyone is interested in these short stories, these two in particular are really exceptional. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and almost they're kind of in order, so you could listen to the Sidious one first, and then go into, what's happening on the other side, basically, of all of this going on, which is Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. I think we'll do more episodes where we discuss these short stories because there's a plethora to pull from.
There's so many, and I really appreciate how Star Wars audiobooks have become more like audio plays.
Yeah.
They've come from, most of the time audiobooks are just like, there's maybe music at the beginning and then they read and then they close out. And this is like, they add sound effects, they have music fade in and out. Like when the Emperor was going into a vision, the music would change. It was very fun to listen to. I think they're really entertaining. And the readers, like the narrators, are so excellent.
Yeah, and it's not point of views of people you'd expect. We talked about two huge characters, but there's way more subtle characters, like background characters. And one of the stories is from the point of view of the damn Dagobah cave. The cave has a point of view.
Oh, wow.
So,
really? There was one I listened to that was from the Wampa's point of view.
See? So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. And again, thank you so much to our wonderful listener who gifted this basically to both of us.
Yeah.
To listen to and delve into, and it's been a complete joy, and thank you for that.
Yes, we're so grateful, and I cannot wait to listen to more. So let's plan to do some more of these in the future, because this was really fun.
So we want to hear from you. If you have read or listened to, from a certain point of view, The Empire Strikes Back, what is one of your favorite short stories? Or if we haven't talked about it yet, what one would you like us to talk about? Which one would you like us to pick apart or give our opinions on? We'd love to know.
Yeah.
We can't wait to listen to more.
Yeah, but if you have anything specific you want us to do next, please let us know. Join us next week for a really special episode. We are very excited about this one.
So excited.
We're gonna have a friend on. She's an artist, but we're not gonna talk about art this time. We're gonna talk about Padme Amidala because
I think we'll mention her art at least a little bit.
oh, absolutely, because her art's freaking amazing. We do have
amazing.
a longer extended interview with her about the art, but next week, Jenny from Jenny Marie Studios is gonna be on to chat Padme Amidala with us because Jenny, Leanne, and I all have a very similar relationship with Padme, where we started off not really liking her, and now we kind of love her, and it's been a growing experience. So
Yes.
we're going to do kind of like a ladies' round table about Padme.
Yes. Women on Star Wars.
Yes,
Part one.
I love it. It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited to have her on.
Yes, can't wait. So tune in. It's going to be awesome.
Last week we had a laugh fest, basically, where we laughed our asses off during the entire episode, where we discussed Obi-Wan's hair, and we got some equally hilarious feedback from
Yes.
people. Our dear friend Clone Wars Collector said, in response to the latest episode for Obi-Wan's hair, I have 2 words to describe the worst haircut. Reiko Hardeen. Or more specifically, Baldy-Wan. I can't believe we forgot to talk about bald Obi-Wan.
I guess it's we were so focused on that tiny little ponytail and the air dried large roller brush curls. Yeah, we were too focused on that to even remember Reiko Hardin.
Yeah.
And another comment we got from a dear friend, Derek. He says, wait, he had a CGI beard? That was his first comment. And the second comment was, he has to agree with you, Lauren. Phantom Menace is the worst haircut. So
Thank you, Derek.
that was near Baldy-Wan. Maybe that's why it was so bad, because it was just that short, terrible hair with the short, terrible ponytail.
Yeah, the little stumpy hairdo on top.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. Remember to follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Plus, you can always find us over at mostthingskenobi.com.
So, until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.